I think that's one thing I'll stress. Be very careful of who you let into your space. It has to feel right. It has to feel good. If there's even a small amount of feeling that says something doesn't feel right and you're questioning it, release it. Release it, because I think even for me in business, I'm trusting myself more, and I think that's where I'm flourishing now.
We know that starting or scaling your own business is hard work, and it comes with both intense satisfaction and a lot of sacrifice, but also constant learning and discovery. So welcome to a very special edition of From Startup to Scale Up. My name is SANDRA GLASGOW. I'm a co-founder of First Angels JA and the managing director of RevUp Caribbean Limited. Today I'm joined by three of my favorite people, three female founders who are part of the RevUp family. We hope that the conversation we'll have today with these ladies is going to empower all the women listening to us, and even some of the men, to recognize that they have what it takes to start and grow their businesses. So let me first introduce Sharon Roper. Hi, Sharon.
Hello there, Sandra. Hi.
Sharon is a member of the First Angels Network. She has been for many years. And she's also the founder and managing director of Shawn Associates. Sharon has over 25 years of experience building sustainable brands. She's a data-driven, technology-obsessed brand expert who has successfully supported her clients across the globe, in the Americas, in Europe, in Africa, and the Caribbean. I know that as a member of the RevUp family, delivering our marketing module, you are passionate about helping women understand that we are all here to make a difference. I want to also introduce Narda Ventura, who is a serial entrepreneur and is building her second business, easypayments.com. Narda was a member of our first cohort, so she has a very special place in my heart. And Narda describes herself as a strategist, a leader, and a culture builder. Next up is Trudy-Ann Fung, a little firebrand, if I may say so. Trudy is co-founder and co-owner of Electroville Limited, along with her husband, Paul. Electroville is now, what, Trudy, 13 years old?
Coming on to 13 years.
And prior to starting Electroville, you worked with Air Jamaica in auditing.
Auditing for 8.5 years.
Right. And then you were a VP with Exec Direct Aviation, which is a cargo company. And after
correct.
You left that company, that's when you started your business. So it's great to have all you ladies on. I hope we're going to have a really wonderful conversation. Much like those conversations we have when we're not on camera. So let me start with you, Sharon. You've been a member of First Angels and are one of our most active members, I will say. Tell me, what was your motivation for joining an angel investor network?
Okay, thanks. And hello again, everyone. Right, I think probably the genesis is I would describe myself as a corporate entrepreneur. So for the 15 so years before I came home, note the English accent for the Jamaican lady. Before I came home around 18 years ago, I've spent my time really working in organizations. I worked two major organizations, and I joined at a time when they were launching a separate business. So I was number 8 at Pricewaterhouse's corporate finance division. As being the one non-accountant, I was everything. That's where I cut my tooth on setting up systems, putting processes in place, setting up the support. We had a big research function, which I developed. And that would really cut my teeth. What's learning mergers and acquisitions and valuations and businesses. I also learned how to build a a division from its infancy. So that's where I cut my teeth. Moved to Accenture and did the same thing as Accenture separated from Anderson Consulting and became a new entity. We had to build a new brand from scratch. Marvelous. So coming to Jamaica, I was very keen to really bring some of those learnings to my home country and the women I worked with. But also having worked predominantly with men, I worked all of my career before coming home was very male centric, and I was sometimes the sole female in the space. And you really learned that you had to be confident, strong, understand what your capabilities were, get rid of that imposter syndrome really quickly so that you can actually be heard. So one of the reasons I wanted to get involved in my passion, and I've always been I'm actually secret serial entrepreneur. I've set up about 3-4 businesses even before I came home. I've actually been involved in about another 3 businesses. I've just launched Sharon Media as well, which is a production company around documentaries and the like. And I say secret ones because the first because really they're spin-offs from some of my experiences, but I wanted to bring some of those learnings home and really inspire women that they too can do it. They can be the leaders in the space. Their voice can be heard in the space. And from our experiences, we actually make really great leaders because we have to juggle so much. We have to actually lead in a lot of ways that's not necessarily out front, but you have to lead and make the difference. And so I just found those excellent skills to be entrepreneurs because you solve problems every day. Like we literally solve problems every day. So I find that we make really good entrepreneurs and very good leaders if we're given an opportunity.
Yeah, that's so true. And the data tells us that women investors are twice as likely to invest in women founders. What's been your experience? How many in your portfolio? How many women founders are there?
My portfolio is about 50-50 at the moment. And there's a couple more coming that is female driven. And we do this because of the national statistics shows that actually women and diverse groups are less likely to get funded. So if you've got a woman in the space, I'm going to help address that balance, that imbalance, and give that support. And also because I've got a particular founder that I work very closely with, and the board is nearly an all male board. And I joined the board, and she's found that there is this empathy that she has with another female founder where she can bounce ideas off in a safe space before she takes it to the wider board and other men in the space that she feels confident. And that's one of the roles I find that I play quite often is that mentorship role, even with my clients. A big part of what I do with my clients is the same thing, is that I create a safe space for you to actually bounce ideas and develop concepts and provide support that you can then step out and implement because it's a very safe space. So that's one of the reasons I would say that I'm driven to actually support women. Not that I discount men, I like the good opportunity, but I find that there's that empathy with women and you understand what's their driving forces and what's their drivers behind why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. You know, businesses are built on the pillars of persistence, of vision, patience, and most importantly, I think, on the leadership and entrepreneurial mindset of the founder. I was reading a Harvard study in 2021, I think it was, that I think validates the experience of the first angels investors, that over 2/3 of startups fail to deliver positive value to their investors. Why do you think startups go wrong in delivering value to their investors? Narda, let me ask you.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Sandra, and thanks again for having me on your show. So I haven't, thank God, I'm not at the place where I'm not delivering to my investors yet, but I can see where startups and businesses on a whole could possibly fail. And I put 3 things on paper. Uh, Watching your market, looking at your offering to ensure that it is consistently relevant. As the marketplace moves and your competition moves, you have to ensure that your product, your offering, stays relevant and is answering a real problem, solving a real problem for your target segment. If not, you're going to lose out on the chance to capitalize on that. Watching the dollar figure, a lot of times we get so deep into the business and the clients and solving the problem and the customer service and the staff, and we don't pay too much attention to the revenue that we're making, what we are spending, and at the end of the day, are we actually making a real profit? I found that I've had to develop the muscle to look at those figures on a very consistent basis. Otherwise, you could miss something. You could be heading on a path of profitability, pushing a particular service, not recognizing that, it feels good and you're making money, but you're spending more than you're making, so it's not profitable. And then the third one, and as women, this is a muscle that we have to build, because a lot of times we make decisions on emotions. In business, you have to learn how to separate that emotion-based decision making. It's always going to come in, I find, Sandra. It's always creeping up on you, how you feel about something and your gut feeling. And I'm not one to say ignore your gut feeling, because it plays such a valuable part. But couple that with real hard facts, the data. I know Sharon is smiling now and saying, yes, Narda, you heard me. Couple with the data in making your decision. So yes, the feeling, but the data must be the driver of your decision. And if you're consistently doing those three things, I think you're on a good path.
Yes, Nadia, I think you touched upon a really good point, and thank you very much for paying attention in our RevUp programs there. But I think that's what women bring to the table, though. I think that gut instinct, that emotional connection is important. But when you marry that with the data, it makes a much more powerful decision, and it actually gives you a better context. I think that's the value of women coming into the workplace that we can bring to the table, and we shouldn't be afraid of that, because when you marry that with data and facts, yeah, you bring a level to that decision making, or the longevity, the sustainability of the firm. So I think that's spot on. I agree with those three.
I can attest to it. I run a business with my husband. So you're looking on male and female approaches, completely different, but it works together. And I really agree that it's really, you should have a bit of emotion in decision making. But I do think that in all things, the perfect balance is what you need. If you can find a balance, and as Sharon said, marry it with everything else that makes up an entire business, then I think you're on the way of success. So you're on that road to, on that path to become a successful leader.
Yeah, absolutely. I think really it boils down to leadership, knowing exactly what it is you need to do to satisfy all your stakeholders, to ensure that your team members are happy and productive, to make sure that your investors are getting the information that they need, and that you're delivering that value to them in the end. But also, really, I think a lot of it comes down to how we manage our lives as women to be able to do all the things. Because, Trudy, you have a husband who is with you and actively with you in the business. But many women find themselves having to run a business, keep their marriage going, nurture children, all of that, all at the same time. You all are mothers and wives. How do you do it?
Well, to be honest, Sandra, I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I think what it is that I referred to balance earlier. And I think that sometimes it's something that you're going to have to go through different processes. You're going to have to evolve. When Paul and I started our business, we didn't mesh very well. We're coming from two different backgrounds. His background was retail and mine was corporate. I was an auditor, so I'm used to dotting my I's, crossing my T's. He's just like, let's do everything. I think you have to continuously assess where you are, and this is all areas of your life. Business, personal, as you said, I am a mother, and I think I can speak for all mothers that you continuously have to choose or prioritize. So you have your business, you need to look after your kids. There's also you. And I think this is why I keep stressing the importance of balance. If you don't have balance, you're not going to be able to be successful at any. I think you can pour yourself into one, but there will always be something missing. And I guess that's why I think we're going to touch on resilience, being able to withstand a lot of different things being thrown at you, and how to recover quickly. So I don't know if my other panelist members can chime in, but it's not an easy road. But for me, I think that it really has to be something that you continuously look on. You're not going to always get it right, and I think you have to be okay with that. And I think it's really the recovery period that is most important when you're dealing with balancing all different areas of your life.
And I know resilience means different things to different people, eh? But I know for a lot of women, sometimes they're at a crossroads. They really, it's difficult for them to decide where they should put their energies. And when you have a business to run, it can really be a tough decision. What does resilience mean for you, Narda? And as you have started and grown your businesses?
Oh boy, Sandra, I'm going to answer that question, but if I could just piggyback on what Trudy just said for a brief moment, that balance, I'm still trying to figure it out. On any given day, I'm either a really, really good businesswoman or I'm a really good mom. And there are very rare days that I am very good at both of them. Something gets dropped. So again, something that you have to work on and choose, prioritize. Resilience, oh my Lord. Getting up every day, deciding, leaning forward, listening, all of these things that you actively have to choose to be, because you can decide not to listen, you can decide not to decide, you can decide just kind of to exist. But how do you want to be seen in the world? What's your legacy? What impact do you really want to make? And every day when I get up, and being in a fintech space is not easy. It is difficult. It's it is difficult. But when you hear the way in which you actually affect a soulpreneur, a mom who is juggling her 9 to 5 with a business that she's now pushing, and you've given her the ability to open her sales up from beyond her doorsteps to the world, and she says to you, I feel like I can make the jump because I can see where this can now replace my 9 to 5. Those are the things that make you resilient. Those are the things that get you up every day and say, what is the purpose of this business? What's the objective? Yes, of course, I want to make money. No shame in that. But at the end of the day, what is the purpose? And how am I going to impact everybody else that I'm offering this to?
And Sharon, what does resilience mean for you? I mean, you've been around for a little longer than the other two ladies, and you've evolved, as you have said. What does it mean for you?
No, it is showing up every day. And I think if you look at even the topic around that balance, and how do you find that balance between being a mom, a wife, a business owner, and if you have a team, managing and leading your team, I think what we're seeing is more female entrepreneurs and more female business leaders in the workforce. Because I think just before COVID, I remember reading a statistic that said the fastest growing segment of startups, women-led startups.
Absolutely.
And that is because we wanted to take control and actually control that balance a bit more. And I think that's a big driver towards it, because you can't, like Nadia said, you can't show up 100% every day for your child, your partner, work. And so when you control more of those variables, you can say to your team, I've got a school play. I'm going to go to my daughter's school play. I'm going to do it and cover, and I'll catch up when I get back. And there are days where you have to say to your daughter, come to work with me or stay at home with the babysitter because I have to do this thing at work. Yeah. And that's going to have to take precedence today. So it's really about bringing those variables into your day and not saying I have to be everything 100%. We're not super women. I've always said that. We're not super women. We're women. Chandra Rhimes, Chandra Rhimes,
Shonda.
yes, the writer, producer Shonda. She actually gave a very eloquent speech recently and said the same thing. We're not super women. We are people who have to make choices every day. And so we have to make sure that the people we're negotiating with every day understand that we make choices. And when we need to be there for a work, we will be there for work. But when we have to be at home with our children, we have to be, and our husbands, we will make time for a date night, but the other 99% of the time, bear with me whilst I do the other things that we're juggling. But it's having those conversations and communications with your network to make sure that they understand that you're not. I think we got to kill that myth that we're not super women. We are. We're people.
We're mortals.
We're mortals. We're mere mortals, Sandra. And I think that's what you have to do. And that is how I manage my resilience, is that I have to do that. I do that negotiation in my network. And I don't make up. I remember I gave up my corporate life because I was behaving like an entrepreneur inside a corporate environment. And I said, you know what? Let me come out and control the one variable that I don't currently control, is when I say yes to a meeting, so that I can manage being a mum. I was a new mum at the time when I decided to set up Sharon Associates. I'm pretty much behaved like an entrepreneur, and everybody loves that, and the company benefits. And my best friends with my chairman, always been the best friends with the chairman, because they love that spirit. They love that entrepreneurial spirit. You solve problems. But the one thing you have little control over in the corporate world is that you don't dictate when meetings happen. Okay. When you have to be away. So running your own business was one of the things I said, I can do what I'm doing now for myself and help my clients and help people, but have a little bit more control over when things are going to happen for me. And that's allowed me, and Sharon Associates will be 10 years this year. And like I said, like Sandra announced, that we've been all over the world with Sharon Associates. We've helped clients from all over the world. And we've set up other businesses as a result. I'm involved in startups. Yet everybody knows that I'm a mother and a wife, as well as an entrepreneur.
And recently a grandmother.
And recently a grandmother, right? And you have to, and we have to address those things in the conversations. Those are real. And what we see when women stand up and do that is we get great solutions. We get new businesses and new offers and new services and new products that actually meet those requirements. They're actually solving the problems of women, who are 50% of the population, in a very real way. So we're turning up other women in the businesses that we're bringing to the market, and the products and services, is that we're turning up to 50% of the world's population that may have had to work around the constraints of a very male-dominated systems. So it's women in business, women in leadership. It's a good thing for society overall. It's a great thing for society overall.
And Sharon, when I was in corporate, I remember doing some research on the spending power. Who makes the money, but who really makes the decision on how the money is spent? And back then, this would have been in the 2000s. The man was the dominant money earner for the family, but throughout decades, it's been the female that's been making the decision on how that money is spent. And being in one of the things that I'm excited about as a female entrepreneur, and seeing more female founders pop up every day with the real solutions, is that we're building solutions for us. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a win-win for society. It's a win-win for our economy. If we are supporting the way in which we are supporting the economy in a new way, whether it's through tech or social enterprise, then it's growth. It's a win-win for all sides.
Yeah, but just to piggyback on Narda as well, I think that's why we thrive very well. I think we were always, as Narda mentioned, the person who earned the money and took it home. But then when it came on to where did the money go, it was really a female that was making those decisions. And now when you put a female into this work world, it is so much easier for us to have a little bit more. We're much more organized in the way I think, try to find where we need to put our money. And that's why we actually turn out to be great entrepreneurs. And I'm not saying that males aren't, but coming into male-dominated industries and thriving it shows that we are not just one trick ponies that were at home barefooted, cooking, cleaning. We have evolved. And this is something that probably was always in our nature. And I think that's why we're so resilient, where it's by nature. That is who we are, just generally. So throwing us out into the work world, we were only going to thrive.
So, yeah, I mean, I have had a lot of people look at me, and people who don't know me very well and say, oh gosh, you are some superwoman, because I'm doing all of these things. I sit on 10 boards and I'm running 3 companies. But the truth is that, as I said earlier, we're mere mortals. I've had to really rely on my support system. I have a husband who, I hope he's not watching this, is well trained. So very early in our marriage,
Still waiting for those classes.
we agreed on the things that I needed him to do to support me. I had for 32 years a really amazing housekeeper. I have a strong network of girlfriends and colleagues and other female founders who understand, the things that you have to do. And so I think that's really important for women founders to recognize that notion of balance, as you say, it can be elusive, right? Sometimes you have to go all in with the business, and sometimes you have to really take a break. I mean, my husband will tell you that I work 7 days a week, but I also find time to spend, a quality time with my grandchildren. But really, my businesses are my great focus, and being successful in business is really important to me. That whole business of resilience is, I think, also founded on confidence and belief in yourself, belief that you can do it. So let's talk about believing in yourself, ladies. Did you have that belief when you first started? How has that belief in yourself changed over time?
I think the term they use now is the imposter syndrome, where you're kind of turning up and you don't really, and I don't know where that came from, because it's funny, because when I first started out, I just was so confident and driven. I never questioned anything. Like, I would go up and talk to anybody, I would ask questions. Like I said, I came out of university and went to work for Price Waterhouse, my first job. And it was in this small group of 8 accountants, all top of their field. There were 4 partners in this group, 4 partners. And I just went in and asked the questions I needed to ask to get the job done. I didn't question it. And it wasn't until, I don't know when it changed throughout in my career, but there was a point when you came, and I think a highlight of that point is when SANDRA asked me to teach on the course, on the RevUp course. And I'm saying, I'm not a teacher. I haven't done loads and loads of studying. I've literally just delivered. I'm a type A. I just deliver. I turn up. I do the work. I get it done. And I think it was my sister that said, "Well, go tell that story." And that's all I do, is I tell my story, and I share my experiences. And then you realize that's valuable. So I can see. I don't know when it happened. I don't know if it's a personality type, but there is something that takes place when it's all of a sudden you question the very things you just went and did. You just did them. You just kind of started. First company I set up was when I was at uni, and a group of my marketing colleagues said, "Let's set up this marketing company." Yeah, go, let's start it. Boom. No hesitation. Let's do the research, let's do the work, and let's just get it done. Just get it done. So it's that's the confidence that we have as young, impressionable women, that we kind of need to hold on to as we go through the journey, and we get those knocks and we get the feedback that wasn't as positive, and you internalize them. And I've got to do that. And so that's part of the knocks that you take, that business didn't work, and I've got to win. I've got to win. I'm one of 9 children. And we were very competitive growing up, really supportive family, but very competitive. And you had to win. There was just no other, number 2 wasn't on the table. So I think as part of the knocks, part of the feedback, sometimes I think women lose some of that confidence, that innate ability, knowing that you have that ability just to try it. I don't mind failing. I just don't want to lose. So it's not I care about failing, because failing is about learning. And I'm teaching my daughter that if you don't fail, it means you've never tried. So you have to try, because you'll only win if you try. And I really try and instill that in her, that you can only win if you try. And if you've never failed, probably because you've never tried. And taking that belief and plowing that back into the conversations, the meetings, the doing funding rounds. And I know I talk to founders about to get ready to raise money. I've had to do it myself, and sometimes I've raised the money, and sometimes I haven't. But then it tells you that the story wasn't good enough. It wasn't that you weren't confident, you didn't sell a good story. It was the proposition strong enough to actually attract that investor, was the return on the investment. And I have to kind of talk myself through that cliff edge where you want to internalize it as a woman and say, I just wasn't good enough. No, the story may not have been, the value proposition may not have been. Go fix those and come back. And that's the mindset we have to continually, that muscle that you talked about, Nadia, that muscle that we have to keep training and retraining to make sure you can always turn up with that confidence and it comes out. But it's really important to kind of know the difference between, when things haven't worked and you failed on that particular thing, that you can get up and it's not actually about you, and you are good enough, and you're strong enough and you can do this, is a story that's one of the reasons I love working with female founders, because I know men have similar imposter syndromes, but for some reason the journey women take from young girls, it's something we internalize more. And one of the reasons I love it is because I approach life like a man sometimes, I've been told. And I want all women to approach life like that,
with that confidence that men innately have. So Trudy, have you suffered from that imposter syndrome at any stage of the growth of your business?
I'm constantly having internal coaching going on within myself. And I think you touched on men's approach, but I think generally speaking, women have been told that you must be seen and not heard. We're not even talking about kids. I'm thinking historically. Back then, we're in a home, we're told to do this and do that. We have roles to play. So I think our confidence level sometimes is like we're always thinking, is it my place to do this? Is it my place to do that? So there's a constant struggle. But I think early out in my career, when I started at Air Jamaica as very confident, as young, and I think what helped with the confidence level for me is because I had female managers who are strong, who are powerful. So I was seeing this. So I was like, I figure you're trying to emulate them. You're like, okay, and this is not a man's world. I'm seeing for the first time where women are leaders. So I felt okay. And I felt like when they threw me, because I was traveling for Air Jamaica Cargo, going to several places by myself. And if anyone who knows me, they know that I'm a tiny, tiny person. So I'll go into places, I'll be thrown into places by myself. And I think for me, that's the whole internal coaching company. Okay, Trudy, you've got this. You can do this. You're alone, but go in and show some kind of power. Don't show that you're fearful. Marky, I'm shivering, but I think I'll learn to mask it very well. And then so my career through Air Jamaica was, I think it was a growth. But then I left, I was offered a job to be a VP, and then the confidence level crept in. VP, as a vice president of cargo, and I'm watching my other, managers who are not VPs. And here somebody's going to ask me to be a VP. And what about the more experienced people out there? And the internal coaching began again. Went in, did my thing. And I think what happened is that I think I got so much confidence level at that point saying, if I can do this position, I can run my business. I went, I left and I had this whole plan, and it started out really great. And I think I got comfortable again. I think we have to be very aware of comfort levels. I think sometimes when you get too comfortable in a position, in a situation, you're not even realizing you're losing a little bit of yourself, or even a little bit of your confidence. And Narda coincidentally came to me with this RevUp program. And there that confidence level crept in again when she approached me and she said, hey, there's this program, it's for entrepreneurs. And I'm like, who am I? I don't think I fit. I don't think I am what they're looking for. I'm not there yet. And I kept battling and questioning myself. And again, I found myself, and I think that's the one thing about me that I think is great. I'll constantly coax myself into thinking, I can do this. I can do this. It's every day for me. You can do it, Trudy. You're not less than somebody else, which is what Sharon was saying. You are enough. You are more than enough.
You are definitely more than enough, Trudy, because
I hope so.
I tell you, you were one of the most active people. I don't think you ever missed a class. You spoke up in group sessions and you asked questions. And I mean, that's amazing to hear how you have evolved. And, the thing is that I think we are beneficiaries of this evolution of our place in society. I'll tell you a quick story. When I just got married, which was some time ago, I had this great job, and I decided that I was going to go to a company. Coincidentally, I'm a member of the board of Stanley Motor Limited, which is a different company from what Stanley Motor Limited was back then. But I decided that I needed to go and buy a vacuum cleaner for our apartment. And so I went down to Stanley Motor and I said, they had this great offer that you could pay cash over 3 months, and you would get this, a special price for this vacuum cleaner. So I said, sign me up, please, and I wrote up all the forms, and I'm ready to leave there with my vacuum cleaner. And the lady comes and she says, oh, I'm so sorry, Mrs. Glasgow, but this will be a hire purchase agreement, and you have to get your husband to sign it. And I thought to myself, but I am buying the vacuum cleaner. I'm using my money. I had the money right there, to pay the first installment. And, I was appalled. So I sort of started a campaign. I called all, anybody that I could talk to in government to say, this is nonsense. You can't, in this day and age, a woman should need her husband's signature to enter into a purchase, a hire purchase agreement. So we've come a long way, but we do still have those doubts. So what would you say then? How do women overcome that sort of lack of confidence, that belief system, lack of a belief system in ourselves?
I think Trudy touched upon it when she said there's a couple of things. I think one, you have to continually massage that muscle and reassure yourself, like literally the self.
Yeah, self-coaching. Yeah, self-coaching.
Self-coaching where you're constantly reminding yourself that you are enough and you can do this. You can do this. And that if it doesn't matter, if it doesn't work out today, it will work out tomorrow, but we've got to do this. So that's partly, I think another aspect of it is your network.
Absolutely.
Is your village.
That's
as well.
Yeah.
I think having the right village in place is a crucial tool that we need as not just entrepreneurs, but generally as people out there, but as women entrepreneurs particularly. More so today when it's much more commonplace, but less so before. I think that village is critical, and I talk about my village all the time. Everyone knows about my village. I came from a very large family, and like I said, that's where I got instilling the thing about the ambition to win that came from my family, because you had to win. Children first. My grandmother was my very first entrepreneur that I met. She was born in the 1920s and ran her own farm in Jamaica and managed the work hands on the field. And she was inspirational when she used to come over and talk to us and give us her stories. And I remember meeting her thinking, oh my God, this is where I get this from. You validated this, this drive that I have. And then you find friends that become family that support you and are positive and they uplift you. You find colleagues that you work with, you find mentors in that entrepreneurial space that give you that support. I'm going to use an English expression, kick you up the arse when you need it, yeah, and give you that tissue to wipe the tears when you need it as well. So you need all those people in that network. And if you find it through your friend network or you identify colleagues. And I remember going up to Mina Israel one day when I was being promoted I just took on the job at Flow, and just asking her, remember I didn't have any, just asking her, I really admire you. Would you just, can I meet you for lunch? And I just need some guidance and some help how I navigate this space in the corporate space. And she was so generous and warm. Still a good friend of mine to this day, but I just went up to her and it was like, I had tears in my eyes because I'm thinking that you're crazy. Why would she just do that? But even those expressions of, you identify what you need and go find that person to fill that gap and then build that network around you that will really help to carry you along that journey, because it's a journey.
Yeah. Narda?
So I have to say, complete ditto to everything that Sharon just said. One of the techniques that I use is, when I was in corporate, I remember hearing that, to my dismay, that you're not always going to be very good at everything. And so I work on you're not going to be good at everything. So, and it's something that I have accepted. I work on the things that I am good at, and I try to excel in those things because those things come natural to me. I take very keen note on the things that I'm not good at, and I find the help around that, whether it's through self-discovery, reading YouTube videos, or bouncing it off other women like you. Sandra is one person that's extremely accessible to me. And if I need some help, again, going back to that network, Sharon, just ask. You're not going to know everything and you're not going to be versed on everything. But I guess to close my point, being authentically you. So be honest about that. If I'm uncertain about something, I find that me saying that's not my wheelhouse, but let me learn, puts me in a very respectable place in terms of how other people see me. So when I do open my mouth, they know, yeah, chances are she knows about this, and that in itself helps my own confidence.
Yeah. What about you, Trudy?
Oh, I'm in agreement as usual with these lovely ladies. Network, I think constant networking, your strong support system, whether it's family, friends who are family. For me, I think it's safe to say that in the last few years, I'm thinking that I'm learning more on leaning more to my discernment, focusing on what feels right, what doesn't feel right. And that's extensive to everything, even with friends. Your support system, if you find that you're having a conversation about your business. Now, I believe in constructive criticism, but if you find that you're surrounded by people who are constantly filling your brain with negativity, and this could be anything, it could be family or friends, because I think sometimes we think that it doesn't come from within our core group, and it does. And this is why that gut feeling, you need to follow it and be very aware of who you're sharing your intimate moments with, because as entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs, it's a very intimate process for us. We go through a lot. I think, we've mentioned the fact that we're moms, we're running our household, we're doing grocery shopping. We even if we have people in our household to help, we're still overseeing that process where we have husbands that we need to tend to. There's so many hats that we wear daily, and it's very important. And I think that's one thing I'll stress: be very careful of who you let into your space. It has to feel right. It has to feel good. If there's even a small amount of feeling that says something doesn't feel right and you're questioning it, release it. Release it, because I think even for me in business, I'm trusting myself more, and I think that's where I'm flourishing more, because I'm working on the internal coaching, but I'm also learning that I can trust my instincts. And I think if you do that, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. People who come into the program have a great opportunity to build a really strong peer network. I've seen it happen in the program where people are connecting with each other, not just supporting each other, from just a human standpoint, but actually doing business with each other, holding each other up when times are rough, sharing their own experiences that others can, learn from. So that's something I would urge every female founder to do. I mean, there's Weng, there's Wink, there are all kinds of networks. I think, Nada, you have just come out of a program with WIPO and JIPO, where, I'm sure you built really useful relationships with those women in that program as well. So it's really very important for female founders to have a network, make sure that they are connecting with like-minded people. Let me just talk about your own businesses and building a business in this new digital age. Tell us how we can find you online, each of you.
Okay, I'll go first.
One thing,
Yes, so we are SkyBlue Transaction Solutions. Our products are schoolfeepayments.com. It's a niche payment solution for schools of all sizes. And of course, our flagship product, easypayments.com, your gateway to e-commerce capabilities. You can find us at easypayments.com, EZEE payments.com, across Twitter, LinkedIn, IG, all the social media platforms. If you want to start accepting card transactions today, call us now, and by tomorrow, you'll be doing just that.
All right. So Electroville Limited, we are retailers in electronics and electrical supplies. You can find us on IG, that's Electroville Limited, JA, or Facebook, Electroville Limited. Our telephone number is 740-3264. That's 740-3264. Reach out. There's always someone on the other end waiting to speak to you and waiting to serve you and connect you to your world, connect you to your friends, your family, and other clients, business.
Yeah, Sharon Associates Limited. You can find us on teamshop.com, online, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. We're essentially a business coach, a marketing coaching services for companies to help build sustainable brands. So we really act as your CMO, outsourced CMO in many instances, where we put in your systems, guide you. And our philosophy is that we believe in success and we want you to be as successful after we've left as when we were there. So it's really about giving you the tools to really grow your business, to make sure that you've got that product market fit and you're satisfying clients. So big picture marketing is what we're doing. And we continue to do that for startups as well as for large corporates and government entities.
All right. So I want to thank you, ladies, so much for sharing your insights with us today. And I want to commend everybody that's listening to become part of the RevUp family. You can find us at revupcaribbean.com. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook. So you have many channels that you can find us. And we're always eager to have female founders. We've put a lot of emphasis on ensuring that at least half our cohort are females. We'd love to be able to support you on your entrepreneurial journeys. So thanks again, ladies. I wish you all the best as you grow and scale your businesses. And we look forward to talking with you soon again on From Startup to Scale Up. Bye now.
Bye. Thank you, Sandra.
Bye,
Thank you.
ladies.
And thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye.